Shabbat Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Moreh Rapha'Yah. We are going to just talk a little bit about this Torah portion, Kedoshim. This Torah portion, we will talk about the danger of falling into darkness if we are already not in darkness. So we are going to talk about that. But before we start off, I'm going to ask you, if you have not subscribed, please do so you can get the latest productions. Remember that we are producing a lot of things, music, video productions, teachings, everything so we can get started on learning Torah, on this journey of learning Torah more and more. It is very, very important to be excited about how to grow in everyday life. Today's parashat, it's a little bit of on the sweet and sour, I should say. And so let's start off. In this Torah portion, we're going to talk about the danger of falling into darkness. And the reason why is because this Torah portion talks about that. It talks about Kedoshim, which is to be set apart, but one of the things about being set apart is being away from darkness. And so let's jump into it. Chapter 19 of Leviticus, verse 1 all the way to 20, verse 27, 2 chapters, Yahweh spoke to Moshe saying, "Speak to the entire community of the Bnei Israel and tell them, you shall be Kadosh, for I am Yahweh, your Ayil, am Kadosh." And the reason why, let me stop here for just a minute. The reason why the Creator speaks to the entire nation through Moshe about being set apart is for the very reason why we need to be aware how the Creator, the character of the Creator is today. See, a lot of people tend to think that the Creator is not set apart. He is. And thus, He wants His people, us, to be the same way in the way the entire world is, the opposite, completely opposite of what it is, which is the secular world that we live in today. The secular world that we live, it's all about materialism, about how you're feeling inside, how you can give the pleasure of the flesh in any kind. But the way the Creator wants us to live is totally the opposite how the world offers to live. And we will talk about that. So let's jump into the next thing. Chapter 19, verse 14. This has a lot to do with this Torah portion. You should not revile the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, for you should revere your Ayil, your Almighty, I am Yahweh. See, one of the things that is very crucial for us as Talmidim, as students of Torah, is to acknowledge the Creator in anything, how He wants His people to be. And we need to be aware, not just on the literal way, how we can perceive others and treat others as the way you wish them to treat you, but in the way that in certain people, like in people that have disabilities, He wants us to be more, they have more sense, to be more sensitive. And the reason why is because certain people, they need certain attention. I'll give you an example. People have the disability not to see, not to speak. They have disabilities that you and I have a lot to be thankful for. But still, we tend to take things for granted. And the reason why is because we have these abilities that we use every single day. Certain people don't have that, don't have that luxury. And thus, the Creator wants us to be more sensitive. But still, let me ask you this question. Do you think that a person that can actually have the ability to listen can listen? Do you think that people can have the ability to see, can't see? And the answer is yes. And I will show you in just a few seconds. Look what it says in the book of Devarim, Deuteronomy 27, verse 18. Cursed is who makes the blind to wander out of the way, and all the people shall say, Amen. There are curses and there are blessings. Mountain Gerizim happens to be the curse, and it has to be the blessings. But the reason why I'm bringing this is because Yahweh says very clear that we need to be very, very careful, tread very careful when it comes to when we comes to people who have disabilities, to be more sensitive. But also, once again, I ask you a question: do you think that people can still see and they can't see? And the answer is yes. When it comes to the Torah, nowadays, there's a whole lot of people that they have the vision, the literal vision of their eyes, but they still can't see. They're still blind when it comes to the things of Yahweh, the Torah. They still ignore a lot of things. And therefore, we need to be very sensitive when it comes to people who are ignorant about the Torah. We need to be sensitive and have more patience, in other words. Let's go forward. Look at what Paul speaks about this. 14 verse 13 of Romans. Then let us no longer judge one another, but rather judge this, not to put a stumbling block or an offense towards a brother. Do you see that? When a person that just starting to learn Torah, we need to be more sensitive, more patience when it comes to certain things. And the reason for it is because, once again, certain people needs more attention, more patience, so the Creator will give them more knowledge as we go along. But the thing is that certain people don't have that ability to have more patience. Paul speaks about that. We need to be very careful, tread very, very careful, not to put a stumbling block to another brother. This is very, very important. Let's continue. Jeremiah 6:21. So Yahweh says this: Behold, I am giving stumbling blocks to these people, and the fathers and the sons together shall stumble on them. A neighbor and his friend shall perish. And the reason why the Creator speaks this way is for the very, very reason why our fathers failed to follow the Creator at the end of the day. And the reason for it is because it was their very own disobedience to follow the Torah. Then Yahweh is putting stumbling blocks to our forefathers at that time. And therefore, their very own disobedience led them into death, into be scattered among the nations, into exile, into other nations. Babylon was one of them, the southern kingdom, the northern kingdom was Assyria. So here we see the very reason why Yahweh, because of this disobedience, Yahweh puts a stumbling block. Let's continue. Jeremiah 13 verse 16. Give steam to Yahweh your Ayil before he brings darkness, and before your feet stumble in the dark mountains. Yea, while you look for light, he puts it in the shadows of death, setting up deep darkness. Do you see that? We have the ability to take advantage of what we have, the little light that we have so far right now, not to let it slip away from our hands. The problem nowadays is that we say so conditioned to this world, to this very notion that what the world offers, what they practice nowadays, we tend to think is more real than what Yahweh offers nowadays in the Torah. We need to tread very, very careful. And the reason why I say this is because I seen this, and as I stated last week, I see this And I fear that a lot of brothers are getting very cold-feet, very cold in following Torah nowadays. I see it. If they tread on this path of being frozen, of being on darkness, it will be very, very hard to come back to Yahweh. We that we see this light, here right now, this very small light, we need to hold it and not to let go. Because once you let go, let's read it back, because Yahweh is speaking very straight here. Give esteem to Yahweh your Ayil before he brings darkness and before your feet stumbles in the dark mountains. Give thanks. What we have so far is very little, but it's enough. We don't need to have so much light. We wish to have a lot of light, but whatever you have, give thanks to Yahweh. Because once darkness comes in, it will be very, very late. Romans 9:33, it has been written, behold, a place in Zion, a stone of stumbling block, and the rock of offense. And everyone believing him will not be shamed. Who are we speaking to here? We're speaking none of the less than Mashiach Yeshua. We are set our eyes in through that to that rock in Zion. Mashiach is the very reason why we are here. Is the very reason why we are continuing this path of redemption. But the problem nowadays is that a lot of people that come to the Hebrew roots are setting their eyes off from the Mashiach, from the Torah, and they're setting their eyes straight into other paths. And I'll bring it in a minute. Look at what it says here, John or Yohanan 12:36. While you have light, believe into the light, that you may become sons of light. Yeshua spoke these things and departed and hid from them. And the reason why this very much so is the Mashiach speaking about this is because at that particular time Mashiach was available for them. And that's why he said these things. He said, take advantage of the light that you have in front of you. Me, the Mashiach. Because once the light departs, then darkness will come. Learn from the Mashiach. Nowadays, we are learning from the Torah. We are learning from this. But the problem is, once again, a lot of people tend to put their sight in other things rather than the Torah. And that's a very dangerous path. Yohanan 12:37. Though he had done so many miracles, signs before them, they did not believe to him. And the reason for it, let me pause here for a moment. And the reason for it, it says very clear, after 36 and 37 now on these verses, is because the past repeats itself. What it was, it will be again. Ecclesiastes 1:9. It is the same pattern, the same principle we live nowadays. A lot of people, they need to see miracles to believe in what Yahweh, and it's still, even though they see these miracles, these things that Yahweh do in their life, they still don't believe. What happens to our fathers in the desert? Exactly the same thing. The same thing is Mashiach speaking to in the first century. The same thing is happening nowadays. A lot of people, the lack of emunah is not faith. Faith doesn't exist. That word, emunah, is faith, rather. Faith is an abstract word. Don't mean anything. But the word emunah means to be steady, to be steadfast, to continue that path without anything stopping you. That's what emunah is all about. A lot of people lack of emunah. A lot of people lack of following the directions of Yahweh. And the simple fact is that they want to follow other things because they're more attractive. And I'll show you in a minute. I don't want to make it too long. chapter 9, verse 39 of Johanan or John, and Yeshua said, I came to the world for judgment, that the ones not see may see, and the ones seeing may become blind. And the simple fact is that exactly what happened in the first century exactly is happening today. Today, we have the same reason, the same capability, the same ability that a lot of people tend to think that they are wise in their own eyes. They are wise in their own understanding, but they never give the credit to the Creator that gives everything to everybody. I don't know much. I know very little, but I wish I could know more. And that's the mentality we ought to be. We don't know much. We know very little of what Yahweh offers, but it's a growth. It's a process. Every day we need to grow more and more. Once again, a lot of people tend to think that they know everything that the world offers. They don't, because the person that would say that is a liar. Mashiach in the first century, the Pharisees, they thought they knew everything, but they were blind. And the people that didn't know anything, they were ignorant about these things, Yahweh, through our Mashiach, opened their eyes. The Talmidim, the disciples, were one of them. There were few that they learned about the Torah of Yahweh. Now I'm talking about the real Torah of Yahweh. For 3 years, they learned more Torah than the Pharisees in the Sanhedrin. More Torah. They learned from the source, from the Mashiach, the Torah, the living Torah. So no wonder why they gained so much knowledge after the 3rd, 4th year. When a person is in darkness, darkness is dense darkness. You need light to walk through the darkness. It's just a simple fact, literal or as an abstract. Chapter 15, verse 14, leave them alone. They are blind leaders of the blind, and if the blind lead the blind, both will fall into a pit. Very, very true statement from the Mashiach. Today is the same thing. There are a lot of leaders that are gathering thousands and thousands of people in stadiums, and a lot of people follow these leaders. Let me tell you this, and let me pause here for a minute. Just because you see on TV thousands of people in the stadiums or in other places gather so much, you tend to think, wow, they have the truth there. And that's not entirely true. Our Mashiach says very clear. The gate of the perdition is very broad, very huge, very wide open, but the gate of the Olam Abba, the everlasting life, is very narrow. Very, very few enter. It is not about the quantity. It's about the quality that Yahweh is looking for. He's not looking for much. He's looking for very little. And that little is what counts in the eyes of Yahweh. When this happens, we need to be very careful. We need to tread very, very careful about these lying leaders, because you don't know where they leading the rest of the crowd. Chapter 5, verse 21 of Isaiah, woe to those wise in their own eyes and discerning their own sight. Exactly what's going on today. A lot of people tend to think just because this person has so many years of whatever experience doesn't mean that he knows it all, that he knows Torah. He knows a lot of traditions, though. He knows a lot of Judaism, but he doesn't know Torah, period. Do you know, and let me tell you this, and please do research when I say this, do you know nowadays there are a lot of rabbis and a lot of people, they tend to call themselves Torah teachers? Do you know that they only learn the Zohar, the Talmud, the Midrash, but they know very little Torah? They only learn about the the comments of the Torah of the rabbis, but they don't know much about the Torah. They don't actually open the Torah and search for it. And the very reason why Yahweh says very clear, there are a lot of wise in their own eyes. We need to tread very, very careful. Let's finish with this. 1 John 2:4. The one saying, I have known him and not keeping his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not on that one. And the reason for it is because a lot of people tend to think that they are keeping the commandments of Yahweh, and when you see their fruits, their deeds are totally the opposite of what they profess. So what is it that is going on here? What's going on is that they don't profess what they're preaching. Walk to walk, preach to preach, right? Walk to walk, talk to talk. That means that you need to preach what you're looking for, what you're preaching about. That's the problem nowadays. They profess something, but when you see their fruits, and Mashiach says very clear, you will know them by their fruits. 2:4, 2 Timothy 4:4, and they will turn away their ear. See that? Ear and blind, right? Ear when deaf, the ear from the truth, and will be turned aside to fables. The same thing talks about here, Titus, not listening to Jewish fables and commandments of men, having turned away from the truth. Brothers, let me close with this. Nowadays is the danger that a lot of people tread to stray away from Yahweh's commandments, Yahweh's Torah, Yahweh's path, because they start turning their ear on a lot of things that the Torah that speaks against about. Let me show you. When a lot of people turn their ear to the path or to learn about the Zohar, the Kabbalah, and all this occultism, okay, we need to be very, very careful, because all this practice, they are not from the Torah. I'll tell you this, they're not from the Torah. They are straight up from Babylon. Do you know that our Jewish brothers, when they were in exile, they adopted these pagan practices there in Babylon? They dragged it all the way to Jerusalem, and they made it their own. All these Zohar and Kabbalah, they're nothing but to summon demons. If you don't believe me, do your own research. I'm not making it up. Exactly what Yahweh is against about. Nowadays, we need to tread very, very careful when it comes to things like that. Why? Because they go against the commandments of Yahweh. They go against the Mashiach. They go against what the Torah speaks about, summoning nothing but demons. I am Moreh Rapha'Yah. We'll see you next time. Please, if you have not subscribed, please do so you can get the latest. If you want to help out this channel, we're constant working a lot of productions. Please do so. There is a link all the way down there on this channel, and you can give TZEDAKAH, a contribution, so we can get more productions working, so you guys can reap from the fruits that we're making right now. I'm Moreh Rapha'Yah. We'll see you next time. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. We'll begin.
Toda Rabba. If you like this video, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel.